Hey y'all, it's Nancy, the Handy Scandy. Welcome back for another crafty venture. Today I am bringing you my process for these 4 Slimline cards that I created using a coloring book page. Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous, the coloring book page, and I thought it was going to be stunning on some cards, and I was not wrong. I love them. So have you guys ever used coloring book pages to make cards? Have you ever thought about it? Let me know downstairs. Let me know if you have. What was your outcome? I'm super happy with these. Now, this is a coloring book that I started with. It's called Zen Designs, or I'm sorry, Zen Coloring. And I used it in my work as a licensed clinical social worker several years ago. This is the first time I'm actually coloring in the book because in the past we would just make copies and use them with our clients. Obviously, I'm using my Faber-Castell colored pencils. They are absolutely beautiful, so smooth and creamy. They were gifted to me by a sweet, crafty friend. And that Prismacolor pencil sharpener is priceless for me. A, it was my daughter's, and B, it is absolutely, I don't know, it's a great little handheld sharpener, so I don't have to have, the electric one, but it makes the perfect fine little point, and it doesn't sharpen away a lot of your pencil as you go, so you can make those individual turns, and it keeps your pencil nice and sharp for great coloring. So on to my coloring. You can see I'm coloring this last flower on the page, and it's just a portion of it, and I'm going light to dark, blending it all out, and yeah. And here I'm adding some of the browns in the nooks and crannies, following the guidance of Kathy Rakusin, and I used the scary brown, or not scary browns, but scary darks throughout, and that is following the guidance of my sweet friend Courtney Krieber. So you guys follow the guidance of whoever your favorite crafters are, your favorite colorists, and just, like I did, just employ those techniques and just keep working at it because it's a lot of practice. This little flower took me at least an hour. I don't even know, but it was very much a mindfulness process for me, and I didn't count the hours as tedium or anything like that. I loved every second of it. So here I have taken my coloring book page and I've trimmed it down with a die from Studio Katja. It ended up being the wrong size to coordinate with this eyelet die from Mama Elephant. So I'm leaving in my process for this first card only because sometimes we see things online in our videos and whatever, and it looks like everything just worked out smooth and perfect. Well, that's not how it usually goes. Even for the most perfect planner, if you will, quote unquote, there are issues. There are things that don't work out the way we think. And we know that I am not a planner. I am an intuitive crafter. I allow the creative process to take place as I go. And for this one, I wish that I would have just trimmed my panels down to size after I cut out the eyelet frames, but I didn't. And so this is my process for figuring out the sizing and trying to make it fit, because the coloring book pages with the die that I used are too tall, but they're also too narrow just by the nature of the coloring book page. So I have to do some finagling. It's very, very much finessed once I get it in there. And this first one was my most difficult. Lots of trimming, lots of trimming, lots of trimming. The next ones come much more easily. And then the fourth one is different altogether because it's essentially a triptych using some of these trimmed off strips. So here I'm showing that I'm using that thin black strip because that was actually the inside of the eyelet die cutout. So I attach my coloring book page to that black strip because I know that fits perfectly within that window. And still some more trimming to get it down to size. I didn't want to cut a big chunk and then have it too small. So it was just a lot of eyeballing, which I know for some of you that just drives you crazy and makes you cringe, so I apologize. But this is just my process. If this is driving you crazy, please don't feel obligated to watch, unless you just want to see how I persevere and how I make it work. Because ultimately I do. I only show the process for the first one because the other two are very similar, except that I learn along the way and they become a little bit easier. So here I am trying to figure out if I want that coloring panel to be behind the eyelet frame or in front of, and it could have worked either way, but I ended up putting it behind. It just pleased my eye a little bit more. But here I'm putting my glue down and then I get confused. You'll watch me thinking it out. I'm like, wait, what? What am I doing? Oh, you guys, this is real life crafting. This is what happens in my craft room. Now, all of this is sped up ×2, except for that little bit of coloring that I showed. I think that was sped up ×3. And again, that took about an hour to do that little bit of that floral. But if you like to color, you know, use those coloring book pages to make some art. You know, they're art in and of themselves, obviously, and there's some catharsis in coloring, and there's healing, and there's self-care, and there's mindfulness, all those wonderful things. But if you are ever so inclined to make them into cards, I would love to see what you do. Tag me on social media, all those things, and let me know downstairs if you've ever done it before. Because the paper is, well, I mean, we've all used, you know, coloring books before, so the paper is almost like newsprint, right? It's not high quality, and it's definitely not made necessarily for quality coloring, but in the end, I think because of the nature of this picture, it's just beautiful. And I love black and white with a pop of color, particularly red, and so this one just really spoke to me. So that was a process from my first one, and the other two were created very much the same. It's just that I learned from the first one and the others came easier. So this one, however, ends up looking like a triptych, because I have these 3 strips, and they happen to be strips from the same image. You know, they weren't random, that was my plan anyway. Even if they were random, I was just going to lay them down. But they turned out to be from the same flower images, and that just made my heart happy. So for some of you, you can see that has the curved edge up on the top. Well, I guess on this. So I'm moving it around. They're on the right. The top strip and the bottom strip both have a curve on the left side. I don't know how, my words are hard. Anyway, you can see where the curve is, right? That's not one on the inside and one on the outside. They're both on, if it were upright, it would be on the left. So for some people, that might drive you crazy. For me, it doesn't bother me one bit. And I can tell you right now that a recipient isn't going to say, oh my gosh, look at you, you have your curve going in the wrong direction. It should be on the outside. No one's going to say that. It's likely that no one will ever even notice. So, yeah, those are things that I just don't sweat. For some people, that will drive you absolutely crazy, and you'll have to figure it out. Maybe use a corner edger or something. I don't know. But for me, it just adds to the uniqueness. So you can see that I laid those down with wet glue direct to that panel, and then I mounted that panel, the smallest black panel, to the white panel with wet glue, and then with the white panel I mounted it up on some double-sided foam tape onto the black panel, and then I mounted the black panel to the card base. And so those are my cards, and then I added the sentiments to them, and I think they're all just lovely. We have hello and smooch and kisses and love you. And y'all let me know if you have a favorite. Drop it downstairs. And again, let me know if you've ever done this before, or if you think it's something you might try, because I would absolutely love to see your creations. So guys, this is Nancy, the Handy Scandy, and I so appreciate you spending some time with me today. Give this video a like if you liked it or found it interesting or inspiring. Again, drop me a comment downstairs. Subscribe if you're not already a member of my crafty tribe. I'd love to see you back here. And until next time, mwah, I am out.